Subscribe to our channel for gripping tales of family secrets and unbreakable resolve, your next dose of real life drama awaits. Hit that button and dive in. The morning sun filtered through the garage windows in Highlands Ranch as I prepared for my Saturday fishing trip to Cherry Creek Reservoir. At 61, these solitary outings had become my sanctuary since losing my wife 3 years ago. I was organizing my gear when my son appeared in the doorway. Something about his posture caught my attention right away. His shoulders were tense and his movements were too deliberate, like someone trying hard to look relaxed while hiding inner panic. "Morning, Dad," he said, his voice too bright, almost forced. "Getting ready for your fishing trip?" I nodded, sorting through my lures. Cherry Creek should be perfect today. He stepped closer, and every instinct I had screamed that something was off. His eyes darted to my tackle box, then away, then back again. As a former Denver police detective with 30 years on the force, I knew how to read people. "Mind if I take a look at your setup?" he asked, moving toward the box before I could answer. I watched him closely. His breathing was shallow, and sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool October air. When he thought I wasn't looking, he glanced at the small storage compartment where I kept extra hooks. That's when I saw it. His right hand slipped quickly into his jacket pocket, pulling out something small wrapped in black tissue paper. The move was so fast and sneaky that anyone else might have missed it. He tucked the object deep into the tackle box's main compartment, hiding it between my spoon lures and lead weights. The whole thing took less than 10 seconds, but it felt like I was watching a crime unfold right there in my own garage. My heart pounded, but I stayed calm, pretending to focus on my fishing line. He stepped back, wiping his hands on his jeans like he was brushing off dirt or evidence. "Well, I should let you get back to it," he said, heading for the door. "Have a great time, Dad. Catch some big ones." I watched him disappear into the house, his footsteps fading up the stairs. The garage went quiet, except for the distant hum of traffic and my own uneven breathing. I stared at the tackle box, which now felt like a threat. Whatever he had hidden, he didn't want me finding it right away, but he seemed to expect I'd discover it eventually. It didn't add up, unless he wanted me to stumble on it too late to do anything. The thought hit me hard. My own son had just planted something in my stuff, something meant to cause me real trouble. I thought back to the last few months, his growing desperation for cash, the wild mood swings, the way he'd dodge my eyes during talks. I'd chalked it up to job troubles and grief over his mom. I'd ignored the red flags because I loved him. But 3 decades as a cop taught me that love can blind you. And now the truth was sitting in my tackle box, wrapped like a poison gift. Something was seriously wrong with my son's behavior. And deep down, I feared whatever he'd hidden would shatter everything between us forever. Standing there, eyeing the tackle box like a live wire, my mind flashed to the night before. Maybe I should have seen this coming. The warning signs were plain as day during dinner, etched in the desperation on his face that I'd chosen to overlook. Friday evening started out normal enough. I grilled chicken while he set the table inside. The October breeze carried the smell of falling leaves, and for a second, it almost felt like old times back when my wife would poke her head out from the kitchen, teasing me about taking too long with the grill. But she wasn't there. Her empty spot at the table was a daily gut punch, reminding us of the hole she'd left 3 years back. He was quieter than usual, just pushing his food around. His hand shook a bit when he grabbed his water glass, but I blamed it on the stress of hunting for work. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something," he finally muttered, his voice low. I knew that tone, the same one he'd used as a kid asking for cash for school stuff. But at 27, these chats had gotten way too common. "What's going on, son?" He took a shaky breath, fingers tapping the table like a drum. "I'm in trouble. Money trouble. I need $50,000. The number landed like a punch. I set my fork down, studying his face under the soft dining room light. His eyes were red-rimmed, shadows making him look worn out beyond his years. When had he gotten so skinny? 50,000? I echoed, keeping my cool. That's more than I've got saved, Ryan. What kind of trouble? His jaw tightened, and I caught a flash of something dark anger, or maybe fear turned sour. Does it matter? He shot back. I'm your son. I need help. Of course it matters. I've been covering you for months' rent, car payments, groceries. Where's all that going? He shoved back from the table, chair scraping loud on the wood floor. You don't get it. These people? They're not patient. They won't wait for me to sort it out. What people, son? But he was already storming off toward the stairs. Forget it. I'll handle it myself. I called after him, but all I got was his bedroom door slamming. I sat there alone, plates half empty around me, a cold knot forming in my gut. My boy was tangled in something uglier than just being out of work. The rest of the night dragged in heavy silence. I washed up, flipped on the news, stuck to my routine while he holed up upstairs. I could hear him pacing, then low, urgent phone talks that set my nerves on edge. Now, 12 hours later in the garage, those whispers took on a whole new shadow. He hadn't been begging for legit help last night. He'd been testing the waters, seeing if I'd cough up the cash. When I didn't, he'd jump to backup. That thing in the black tissue? It was his leverage, his twisted way to force what he wanted, no matter the cost to me. I pictured my wife, wondered what she'd make of this mess. She was always the one smoothing edges, finding middle ground where I saw only right and wrong. But even she would have been stumped here. My son was scheming to take me down, and I was the only one left to stop him. It clicked why he'd been so jittery around my fishing stuff lately. The setup was locked in. I couldn't stall anymore. Whatever he'd stashed was burning a hole in my thoughts, and I had to face it head on. My hands trembled as I neared the box 3 decades of cop smarts, clashing with a dad's blind hope. The clasps clicked open, a sound that used to mean peace. This old box had been my escape from the grim cases I'd worked. Now it felt tainted. I pulled up the top tray, exposing the deeper section. There it was, tucked between my go-to silver spoon lure and some lead sinkers. That black wrapped bundle. My pulse thundered as I peeled it open with unsteady fingers. The paper fell aside, revealing a clear plastic bag of white powder. I didn't need a test kit. I'd logged enough of this stuff in evidence lockers to know it on-site fentanyl. The bag felt heavy, maybe 2 ounces. On the street, that could fetch 15 to 20 grand. Plenty to nail someone for intent to distribute under federal rules. Plenty to wreck the scraps of life I had left. I slumped onto my workbench, the bag like a hot coal in my hand. The room tilted as the weight of his betrayal slammed home. My son was hooked on drugs. All the clues I glossed over lit up in my head like warning lights. The lost weight, the glassy eyes, the roller coaster moods I'd pinned on sorrow and job hunts. The shaky grip, the cash pleas, the midnight calls. How long? How had I, a guy who'd chased crooks for 30 years, missed my own kid turning into one? But the addiction stung less than the knife twist of trust broken. He hadn't slipped this in by mistake. It was planned, cold. He meant for me to find it, but only after the damage stuck. The truth socked me again. He was setting me up to take the fall. I thought of my wife, the vows I'd whispered at her bedside to look after our boy. He's lost without me, Tom, she'd breathed. Promise you'll be patient. Patient. I'd hung in there 3 years as he sank deeper, bleeding my savings dry with one emergency after another. Patient as the gentle kid she raised morphed into this shadow. Hot tears, the first since her service, pricked my eyes as I glared at the fentanyl. This wasn't about bucks anymore. It was do or die. My if his scheme clicked, I'd land in cuffs for trafficking. At my age, A Fed rap would steal my last good years, leaving him to scoop up everything she'd and I scraped together over decades. The kid I'd taught to cast lines right here, the boy I'd loved no questions asked, was ready to bury me to dig himself out. I rewrapped the bag, hands firmer now, shock hardening into resolve. He figured he was checkmating a rookie, but he blanked on who his old man really was 30 years dodging sharper cons than him. If my son wanted to roll the dice, he'd learn quick. I had aces up my sleeve he never dreamed of. The fentanyl lay on my bench like case evidence. I wished I'd never cracked. But cop habits die hard. Feelings were a risk I couldn't take. If he was gunning to pin this on me, I needed the why. I headed inside, up the stairs to his room. At the landing, his voice leaked through the door frantic, begging. "I told you, Mike, just one more week." My dad's dragging his feet on the cash, but I'm on it. I flattened against the wall, ears sharp from old habits. "No, please, don't go there. Look, I've got a fix. By tomorrow night, you'll have it all. 50,000, just like we said. 50 grand. The exact sum from dinner." Ice spread through my veins as the puzzle snapped together. His voice pitched higher, more raw. "You don't get it, Mike. If anything happens to me, you'll never see a dime. Give me till Sunday." Rustling sounds, then a new call. "Lisa, it's me." "Yeah, the house payment's late, but I'm squaring it tomorrow." No need to push the foreclosure. My legs nearly gave. House payment? Foreclosure? He'd pledged our home for some shady deal, and I'd been in the dark. 20 minutes on, he stepped out, suited up like for a job talk, cool as ice despite the freakout I'd eavesdropped. "Off to that interview, Dad," he yelled down. Fingers crossed. I waited till his ride pulled away, then dove in. 30 years of sleuthing, and no way was my kid outfoxing me. His room spilled the beans in crumpled papers he'd half buried. Bank slips screamed big cash pulls the last 6 months. Credit statements showed 30 grand in advances, mostly cashed at Prairie Wind Casino. But the loan papers? Those shook me bad. Lisa Harper, some licensed lender, had fronted him 80 grand, using our house as backing. My signature fake slick had gambled it all away. Dresser drawer hid casino tabs, lost slips piling up like snow, plus scribbled numbers. One marked Mike emergencies only. It all lined up. He'd blown cash he didn't have at the tables. Debt snowballed, so he tapped Lisa, faking my okay to lock in the house. Funds dried up. He flipped to Mike for dope gearing to flip it for quick bucks. Now both sharks were circling. Mike wanted his 50K by Sunday, or worse than broke-weighted. Liz'd yank the house if unpaid soon. Caught in the vice, he'd throw me under to wriggle free. The frame job wasn't just for cash. It cleared the deck, axing the one guy who could block him from torching our life's work. I hunkered amid the proof of his double cross, a chill settling deep. The home I'd busted 30 years building? Already pawned on lies and forgeries. In his room, knee-deep in betrayal docs. The last dad softness leaked out. This wasn't fixing a wayward kid anymore. It was me or him. I snapped pics of the loans and tabs on my phone, stashing them back. Court might need M to prove the forgery and theft. But first, the now threat. That fentanyl was a aimed pistol at my shot apiece, and I wouldn't let him squeeze Dot back to the garage. Step sure. Cop wisdom. Best shield's a sharp strike. He thought he was schooling a square, but lesson time was his. The bag waited, tissue and all. I hefted it 2 ounces of ruin or rescue, all in where it landed. Out the window, his beat-up Civic sat in the drive. A 10-year ride I'd chipped in for post-college, back when I banked on his future. Front door creaked, his voice floating. "Dad, car's acting up again. Taking an Uber to the interview. Don't want to strand myself." Gold. Another fib, but this one handed me an edge. "Smart call, son," I hollered. "Safe smart." Waited for the car to whoosh off and his steps to fade. Snagged his keys from the hook by the door, same spot always. Trunk popped easy. Inside, cables, spare, dusty gym sack untouched in ages. Shoved the sack, wedged the fentanyl by the wheel, well findable, but not screaming. Snapping the lid, I thought of my wife. She'd preach grace, fresh starts, love's fix for foul-ups. But she'd never stared down a boy ready to gut his pops for air. Keys back to the garage. Tackle box yawned clean on the bench, free of its poison. I wiped every spot he might have grazed, erasing tracks. Funny in a bitter way. 3 years I'd chased saving a sinking ship. Now I chased saving myself from the wreck I'd missed. Phone pinged a text from him. Nailed the interview. News Monday. Thanks for the face, Dad. Yesterday, it is sting. Today, it just locked in what I knew. He jumped a gap with no bridge back. I mulled his calls. I'd caught the raw pleas to Mike and Lisa for slack. He'd vowed payout by tomorrow eve. Cash from my downfall. But schemes flop when you lowball the foe. I scrubbed the box spotless, resetting lures and weights till it screamed harmless retiree prepping a chill cast. Old-timer gearing for trout, zilch else. He'd roll in, betting his snare was primed. Wrong. Snare flipped, and he wasn't predator no more. Now we clocked the real chess master. He breezed in near 6, peppier than in ages. Door swung, stride bouncy, like weights had lifted. How'd it go? I tossed from my chair. Tone light. Real good, Dad. They dug it. Jacket slung on a seat. Moves loose. Could be my ticket. I tracked him, clocking the garage dodge in his gaze. Oscar-worthy. Without the intel, I'd buy it hook line. Awesome, son. Word soon? Monday. He aimed upstairs, halted. Wiped out. Nap before chow. I dipped back to the TV, but ears perked. Every floor groan, every door mumble. Quick hit. 20 in. His tone spiked, wired. Yeah, gotta report drug dealing. Name's Jake Thompson. Got proof my dad's slinging fentanyl. My chest tightened, but I froze statue still. Showtime. The peak he plotted. Thomas Thompson, 61. Stashing in his fishing box. Caught him with a fat batch this morning. Satisfaction dripped from him. The ease of a guy seeing payday dawn. Address dropped. Box spot. Even bogus crew ties. Yeah, holding. Rush it. Scared he'll bolt the stash. Tragic hoot, if not heartbreak. He was spot on fretting the move. He just missed it. It happened. Call wrapped. Next style flew. Mike, me, done. Cops hauling Dad. You're cut tomorrow. Third ring. Lisa, on track. Post-arrest, it's all mine. Your notes cleared. Living room vigil, I absorbed my boy, scripting my end with pro-polish. Half me nodded at his grit. The rest? Nauseous. 15 out. First cruiser knows the drive. Then 2 more, plain black trailing. Window peek. Detective Laura Hayes, old squad mate. He thumped down. Mask pure worry. Dad, cops outside. What's up? Spot on act. Sans the calls, his bafflement sells. Doorbell barked firm. Go time. He lunged for it, but I rose quick. I got it, son. Hall mirror nabbed his reflection mid-stride. Split second, guard down. Chill. Scheming. Zero regret. Crew inbound. And my boy clueless, his airtight plot was dust. Door swung to Laura on the stoop, bookended by 2D suits in vests. More badges ringed the yard. Hey, Tom, she said, pro but pained. Thought a chat. Sure, Laura. In. He edged up. Brow knit just right. Detective Hayes, this about? Dad in a jam? Her gaze pinged us, reading vibes like the vet she was. Got a tip on trafficking here. Warrant for search. Trafficking? His shock rang true. No way. Dad wouldn't. It's okay, son, I soothed. Let him work. Head agent gruff 40s type leaned in. Mr. Thompson, word is fentanyl's in your tackle box. His eyes sparked. Helpful? Garage spot. I can point it. Tail to the garage. I eyed his swagger. Victory lap locked. There. Finger to the box. He futzed it this morning, all twitchy. Agent crept close, snaps from angles, then clasps. He crowded in, vibe electric. Tray up. Lures neat. Weights tidy. He combed slots, pulling, probing, zip. Agent frowned. Mr. Thompson, no subs here. His color drained. Can't be. Saw him stashed this morning. Check again, son, I murmured. What did you think you spied? Crack showed. Black tissue wrap. Dead sure. Lavra eyed him fresh. Mighty sure on Dad's box cuts. Why so? Mouth flapped. Trying to pitch in. Thought shady. Agent wrapped the box. Nada. Broughton hunt. Hold. Lavra cut. Nose keen. Jake, you tipped this, right? Flush hit. Concerned neighbor bid. Vehicle check. She snapped. Warmth gone. My ride? Pitch broke. Why mine? I called it in. But suits swarmed the Civic. His strut crumbled to shuffle. Trunk clicked. Agent shifted sack and spare froze. Gloved hand rose. Bag white packed, tissue hug. Jake Thompson. Lavra iced. Cuff for fentanyl possession with intent. Plus bogus report. Shocked a frenzy to scramble crossed his face. Planned. Dad did it. Framing me. That so? Laura pressed. Then why tip his box, not yours? Cuffs ratcheted. He locked hate on me. You shifted it. Eyes level. Son, beats me what you mean. His stun screamed volumes. Never saw Pops outplay. 3 weeks on, Denver courthouse. I watched him shrink in orange, swagger gutted. Fed lawyer laid it bare. 2 ounces fentanyl, 20 K Street, intent hall, false flag, kinframe try. Your Honor, she pressed. Jake didn't just hold. He spun a web to gut his dad's world. His public defender pitched addiction, panic, mom lost scars. But proof crushed, his Mike Lisa tapes the nail. Judge Ellis polled for words. He rose slow. Apologies to Dad, he croaked. Desperate, bad calls. Never meant this deep. Gallery seat, I felt hollow. Words rang fake. Judge bait over soul. Jake Thompson, Ellis boomed. 5 years Fed lockup. Trafficking and plot. Gavel cracked like fatherhood's lock turning, but cuffs fixed half. Lisa still clutched fake deeds to my roof. Mike ghosted post-bust, dodging lights. Weeks with counsel proved fraud. Fake ink jumped under scans. His admissions timed the con. Upshot. Suit said. Bad's void. How safe? Lisa bolted state. Charges hot. Lavra looped updates. Feds hunt her and Mike. Jake's snitch might shave time 3 min. 3 years. He'd hit 30 out. I'd scrape 64 if luck held. House echoed odd barer than his empty room. I roamed spots of old suppers, TV nights, duty spats. Betrayal soured the air. 2 months post-sentence, wild choice. List the place. Sure. Tom? Lavra quizzed. Your nest. Hers. She's dust, I said. Boy, I built? Mirage. Fresh page. Realtor pegged fast sell in Denver heat. I called 30 years hoard. Picking keepers for a head. Dumping past chains. Tailies wrap with cheers or sighs. This? Nod to kin slicing deepest, but live means self over sinkers. 6 months later, Boulder apartment balcony. Dawn gilding the Rockies in fire and shine. Vista stole breath worlds from suburb grids where I'd stacked 3 decades for another's claim. Sold in 2 weeks flat. Cleared mortgage, bills, cash for this pad, clean slate. No liens, no drags, no blood kin bartering me for their dot held tight. her picks. Rods, the grit lesson that boundless love twists to prop, and prop chews both ends. He penned twice from lockup. Envelope set sealed on counter. Some fires leave better scorched, thought Laura, dropped by last month, brew in hand. Regret the close? She probed. Couch chat. Regret the need, I owned. Not the guard from a no-break wrecker. Truth plain. Raised a ghost from blood, poured on a user eyeing soft spots. His life or mine? He picked his. I matched dot box crouched corner clean, set for Hill Pond jaunts where streams truth and bites don't fib. Quiet joys for a guy grown wise in plain. Folks nearest can knife deepest to peace. Guarding self? Owning kin as foe. Life's roughest school, when to cut loose the loves that load you. I'd logged 61 years on that curve. He'd grind the rest in irons. Through Tom's path, we see true care needs smarts, not just yield. Elder yarns whisper, propping poison ain't kind, it's cage. Ties meant to lift, not cloak crash. On betrayals test soul fire. God's nudge to wise over heart tug. Dope and drive warp hours to ghosts. But grace holds in the pit, gifting eyes for love turned leash, bond turned bomb. Tom's badge? Not chance prep for the peak trial. Old Tailey's tout firm hold, lines that bite but save core. Divine care schools us to prize our spark enough to shield even kin. When Jake picked powder over straight, lies over light, Grace had armed Tom for fair over feed. Deep yarns nod, steward soul true. Kindest grace? Nod to bail from drags to dark. If this hit home, drop thoughts below. Faced full trust stab? How do you steal his shield? Subscribe for more on grit, kin knots, bold resets. Recall, love's peak? Deny the fall to lift their flea.